I'd like to call the Tuesday, April 1st, 2025 meeting of the Stanley County Board of Education to order. We'd like to welcome those of you that are in attendance tonight and also those of you who are joining us live stream. We appreciate you taking your time to be with us and to be concerned about our schools, and we are just glad that you're here. First on our agenda is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Motion to approve. I would actually like to amend the agenda to move public comments to before the closed session.
Okay, so I have a motion to move the public comments before the closed session. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes. Since we like to honor participation and respect, since we do have quite a few speakers that are signed up, and I'm sure that closed session will take a little bit tonight, I do request that we honor and respect the people that have shown up.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no.
No.
Motion fails. So the agenda stands. Let's go back because we never did to get the motion to approve that. So Ms. Gibson, I believe I heard you.
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Watson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion passes. Next, we have invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Liska is going to handle that tonight for us.
All right, let us pray. Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us here today. We pray for your peace, your understanding, your strength, and your guidance. Help us to listen to each other's concerns and work together to make the right decisions and move this county forward. In your name we pray. Amen. Stand for the allegiance, Pledge of Allegiance.
Next on our agenda is recognitions. Ms. Lydia Hedrick, I will turn that over to you.
Good evening, board and guests. Every month we celebrate 2 Stanley Stars from a few select schools across Stanley County. Stanley Stars are nominated by their colleagues, and they are stellar, certified, and classified employees that we want to celebrate. Tonight, from Oakboro STEM, I would like to ask Miss Anita Whitley to join us up front. Miss Whitley not only teaches math to all of the middle grade students at Oakboro Choice STEM, but she also does so with an unwavering passion that ignites a love for learning in each of them. The math curriculum for any single middle grade can be overwhelming, but Ms. Whitley brilliantly navigates the challenge of 3 different curriculums, and she does it with grace and expertise. Since she joined Oakboro STEM 3 years ago, the middle school math students have experienced astonishing growth and at remarkably high proficiency rates, an inspiring testament to her dedication and skill. We cannot express enough how grateful we are for the positive impact Ms. Whitley brings to Oakboro STEM. Her contributions resonate deeply within our community, and we are truly fortunate to have her guiding our students on their journey to academic success. Please give her a round of applause. And out of fairness to Miss Whitley, I feel like I do need to let the audience members know, in her picture, it was an underground spirit day, and it was dressed like a student. So I think she was a little bit horrified when we showed up to take a picture, but I think it's really important that our staff participate in those events. It shows school spirit and unity, and so even though she had on her hoodie and her slides, we were very appreciative of the outfit that day. Thank you. That's not typical dress, as you can see. We would also like to recognize from Oakboro STEM, Kaylee Thompson, and I don't believe she made it. We would like to recognize from South Stanley High, Jessie Thompson, and unfortunately, Miss Thompson is at a track meet this evening with her senior son. and Selena Shelton from South Stanley High, who is under the weather today, so she will not be able to join us either. I'll now ask from Richfield Elementary, Amanda Furr, to join us up front. We are proud to honor Amanda Furr as a Stanley Star. With an incredible 24 years of dedication to Richfield Elementary, Ms. Furr has been a remarkable teacher, coach, and beloved member of the community. Her lifelong commitment to Richfield is a testament to her passion for education and deep connections to the school. Ms. Furr's impact on her students is immeasurable. She loves each child as if they were her own, consistently goes above and beyond to meet their individual needs, and her caring nature extends beyond the classroom as she nurtures and supports her students in every possible way. Thank you, Ms. Furr, for your unwavering dedication and for being an integral part of the Richfield community. Your legacy will forever be cherished, and your influence on students will not be forgotten. Please give her another round of applause. I would also like to invite from Richfield, Miss Casey Spates. We are thrilled to recognize Casey Spates as a Stanley Star this month. Over the past 4 years at Richfield Elementary, Miss Spates has made a remarkable impact on our school community. Starting her career as a teacher assistant, she demonstrated dedication and compassion, which seamlessly transitioned into her role as the school secretary during the 2024-2025 school year. Casey is the heart of Richfield School, welcoming families with a warm smile and always ready to lend a helping hand. Her warm and inviting demeanor creates a positive atmosphere for everyone who walks through our doors. We are incredibly grateful for her hard work and commitment to making Richfield Elementary a wonderful place for both students and staff. Thank you, Ms. Spates, for being a shining star in our school community. Please give her a round of applause. Okay. And I do know if y'all will walk across and reach up, the board members I know like to shake your hand and thank you for going above and beyond on a regular basis. So thank you, guys.
Our next recognition is the district spelling bee winner.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. On February 27th, we held our district-wide spelling bee. Thank you, Ms. Watson and Mr. Sorensen, for joining us that day. 16 of our elementary and middle school spelling bee champions from our schools came out to compete against one another, and after 15 rounds of competition, we found a winner. I will say the most shocking moment of the whole spelling bee was when our champion spelled the word Louis d'Or correctly, even putting the apostrophe in the right place. So he definitely deserves to bring home that trophy. So please join me in welcoming our 2024-2025 Spelling Bee champion, 6th grade student from Oakboro Choice STEM School, Hank Nelson.
Hank, could we give you
He should look familiar because he was right up here last year for this same thing.
Next, I know we had the Regional Science Fair winner, and Tori Edwards, who is the recipient of that, is under the weather and will not be here tonight, but we will recognize her next month.
That's correct.
Dr. Dennis, 2025 Governor's School.
Yes, I would like to call Miss Lily Medlin and Miss Hadley Herring up to the front, please. So the North Carolina Governor's School is a 4-week summer residential program designed for gifted and talented high school students, offering an integration of academic disciplines, the arts, and specialized courses across 2 campuses. This esteemed program provides exceptional educational opportunities in 10 diverse academic and arts disciplines. The curriculum emphasizes the exploration of contemporary ideas and concepts within each field, and it does not involve academic credit, testing, or grading. Students are selected through a rigorous local and state nomination process. We are pleased to acknowledge 2 outstanding students from Stanley County Schools, Miss Lily Medlin and Miss Hadley Herring, for the selection to participate in this year's residential program in June. Congratulations.
Next, we have the recognition for Stanley County Arts Council 2025 Fine Arts Educator of the Year.
Good evening again. For this presentation, I would like to invite Ms. Renee Van Horn, Executive Director of Stanley County Arts Council, and Ms. Kelly Dombrowski, who is the Chair of the Board of Directors for the Stanley County Arts Council, to present this one.
Good evening. Thank you for having us. I am excited to be here tonight to share with you the Fine Arts Educator of the Year Award that was announced at 2 weekends ago, Celebration of the Arts. That was a community-wide event celebrating the art that you see from our students and also local artists in the area. The Fine Arts Educator, affectionately known as the Jim Kennedy Award, was in loving memory of a longtime arts advocate, teacher, and coach, Mr. James D. Kennedy. The award recognizes a fine arts teacher in the Stanley County Public School System who has made a significant positive impact on the arts in education and who have inspired students to pursue, appreciate, and respect the fine arts. This award has been given since 2014 and includes many of our teachers, such as Lori Watson, who was our first recipient, and most recently, Mr. Randy Fike from West Stanley High School as an art teacher, Miss Wanda Manus, South Stanley's high school art teacher, and Julia Starnes from Locust Elementary art teacher. This year, it's my pleasure to announce the 2025 Fine Arts Teacher of the Year, who is Mr. Daniel Dickens, the music teacher at Locust Elementary. He was nominated by his principal, Devron Furr, and it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Devron Furr to share a little bit about Mr. Dickens.
All right. Thank you all. I tell you what, it is such an honor to be here and for Mr. Dickens. He is well deserving of this award. He's taught in 8 different schools. He's taught so many students. If you go around this county, you're going to run into people that know Mr. Dickens. As a matter of fact, I believe all of the Arts Council's executive committee had students who were with Mr. Dickens, had a wonderful time. He's been in 8 schools. He's been in the education for 22 years. And we're just so proud of him and so thankful for the Arts Council for honoring him. Well-deserved, and just want to thank you so much for that. We appreciate it. So.
Thank you.
And Ms. Dombrowski, I just really wanted to thank you and the Stanley County Arts Council for the event 2 Saturdays ago. I actually had the opportunity to go twice during the day. And we just appreciate you doing things like that showcase our students. It was an awesome day there. If you missed that, I encourage you next year to take the time out of your day on a Saturday and just go walk through and look and see what our students are doing, or watch them do a form of entertainment for you. So it was really awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
Next, I'll entertain a motion that we go into closed session for personnel matters under North Carolina General Statute 143, 318, 11A6. Student matters, North Carolina General Statute 143, 318, 11A1. And attorney-client matters, North Carolina General Statute 143, 318, 11A3.
Move we go into closed session.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. All opposed? We are in closed session. I'll call us back into open session. Next on our agenda is public participation in board meetings, and in accordance with Policy 2310, which is public participation at board meetings, each month as part of at least one of a regularly scheduled board meeting, we will set aside for citizens to address the board through public comments. Each speaker will receive 3 minutes to present comments. However, the public comment session will not exceed 15 minutes total, except by a majority vote of the board. Board members will not respond to individuals who address the board except to request clarification of points made by the presenter. We do have 5 people who are signed up tonight, so we will need to adhere to the 3-minute time limit. First on the list is William Schaefer. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Ms. Whitaker, so if it says not to exceed 15 minutes, are we going to allow all of those to speak?
Well, there's 5 of them.
Okay,
So it would
okay.
be 15 minutes if they.
I just want to make.
Mr. Schaefer.
Good evening. The Stanley County Board of Education has betrayed the public trust by holding secret meetings and making decisions that affect the tax-paying public in closed sessions, bypassing the expressed will of the people with regard to redistricting and a community schools-based system. Every hardship, from the teacher issues to the bus driver issues to the overcrowding of schools and transportation and time issues for families, is being brought to you by a Board of Education that has worked in its own interests and have bypassed the public input and ignored the expressed and determined will of the people to reinstate a community-based education system in Stanley County. Recently, the people of Stanley County in Millingport were having a fundraiser to raise money for the upgrade of their community school playground. It has come to the attention of the people that an effort led by the specific members of the board and represented by the superintendent was initially effected to persuade the principal of that school into shutting down the event. When confronted on this, the superintendent relented and the fundraiser would proceed. There are two clear indications here. One, that the community wants their community-based schools to continue and thrive. And two, that the board is intent on resisting this and working against the people of the community by attempting to persuade a principal to deny this effort and actively withholding taxpayer revenue from maintaining something as fundamental as a playground whereby children, and specifically handicapped children, are unable to even access the playground. A clear violation of the American Disabilities Act. And yet this board finds the funds to purchase an administrative office with the taxpayer money that ought to have been redirected toward the community-based school system and its upkeep that the people absolutely want. The intent is to shut down the fundraiser, or the intent to shut down the fundraiser was attempted because when the people rally together and apply their money to maintaining and upgrading something as simple as a playground, the people become attached to their community schools. By not prioritizing a playground and attempting to shut the fundraiser down, the clear intent is to discourage the people from becoming attached to their community school. And the intent is to manipulate things so that the board can continue with their real objective of school consolidation and, in some cases, favoritism towards schools in which they have personal interest, something that the people of this county never supported. And we know that because the overwhelming support of reopening schools like Ridgecrest. So you purchase this central office with our money and without our knowledge, and yet this Board of Education won't apply the existing money it has for Millingport's playgrounds to comply with the ADA and the people's wishes. This is financial taxpayer money malfeasance of the highest order. It's corrupt. This is effectively board members and the superintendent who have decided to take the people's voice away, to act as tyrants who, at a whim, decided that the people who elected them...
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes, ma'am.
Your time is up, but if you have additional information, you can leave it with the board clerk down here at the end.
You'll be
Appreciate
hearing...
you coming to speak.
You'll be hearing more on this later.
Next, we have Hannah Lear.
May I approach to give this to you
You
all?
sure can.
Okay. Good evening, school board members, faculty, parents, and community members. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today on an issue that is crucial for the well-being of our children, school playground safety. As educators and caretakers of our future, we have a responsibility to ensure our school playgrounds are not just fun and engaging, but also safe, secure, and well-maintained environments where children can thrive, socialize, and develop essential physical skills. We all know that playgrounds are important spaces in any school. They are where our children experience their first lessons in teamwork, cooperation, and resilience. They learn to push their boundaries and challenge themselves and enjoy healthy outdoor play. However, with such benefits comes significant safety risk. If these spaces are not properly maintained or designed with care, recent studies show that injuries on playgrounds are one of the leading causes and accidents for children under the age of 14. These injuries are not just minor scrapes and bruises, but in some cases they are severe injuries that can have lasting impacts on children's physical and emotional health. The American Academy of Pediatrics highlights that playground-related injuries can often be prevented through proper design, regular maintenance, and awareness. It is imperative that we take proactive steps to minimize these risks by ensuring our playgrounds meet safety standards. The following key safety requirements should be prioritized. Number 1, age-appropriate equipment. Number 2, proper surface material. Number 3, regular inspection and maintenance. Number 4, adequate supervision. Number 5, accessibility and inclusive playgrounds. Number 6, clear signage and guidelines. Let's circle back to number 3. Regular inspection and maintenance. Every piece of playground equipment should be checked regularly for wear and tear, as well as potential hazards like sharp edges, rust, or broken parts. If we don't maintain these spaces, we are putting our children at risk. Please see the photos that I provided to you. Number 5, accessibility and inclusive playgrounds. Playground equipment should be accessible to children of all abilities. By ensuring that playgrounds are inclusive, we encourage a sense of belonging for every child, regardless of their physical or cognitive challenges. Our playgrounds county-wide, not just Millenport, do not meet ADA, IDEA, and Section 504 of the Civil Rights Act requirements. The school board plays a crucial role. School boards have the authority to ensure that our schools are provided with the best possible environment for our students, which includes proper investment in our playgrounds. I urge you all school board members to consider the following actions when it comes to playground safety. Number 1, allocate proper funding. Number 2, partner with experts. Number 3, promote training. And number 4, implement safety plans. Let's circle back to number 1.
Ms. Lear.
Allocate, I'm going to finish
Your 3
because.
minutes is up.
Okay, that's fine. She's donating her time.
We can't allow you to
Allocate
do that.
proper funding. Investing in playground safety should be a priority. This includes not only the initial purchase of safe, high-quality equipment, but also setting aside funds for routine maintenance and safety checks. Every school should have a dedicated budget for playgrounds for upkeep. During this time, I
Ms.
have
Lear.
found, I'm sorry, I'm going to finish. You took an
I-
hour, I'm going to finish.
I need for you to
During
finish.
this time,
If
I
we
have
go
found
past
many-
the 15 minutes, this board will have to
There's
take a
nobody else
majority
speaking.
vote. Yes, ma'am, I have 3 more
Yeah,
people.
and they all signed up for
behind
me.
you.
They signed up for me, so you can give me my time. During this time, I have found many eye-opening things that happen within our school system. First, you will see your attached itemized budget, which you are all familiar with. It states that you have $4.9 million in savings. Why are we not allocating these funds to ensure playgrounds are safe for our kids? As a school system,
Ms. Leah.
we need,
No, I
we
need
need
for
to
you to
ensure
finish, or this
that
board's
all
gonna take a
decisions
recess,
made are
and you're gonna
followed
have to wait
through
even
on
longer.
and finish what we start. I
have
will
a motion for
continue to be
recess.
persistent on this
Motion for
matter.
recess.
Do I have a second? All in favor, say
It is
aye.
my responsibility
All opposed, no.
as a
We are in
parent.
recess. Okay, we will continue with board, with comments, public comment.
Madam Chair, I had a question of clarification for Ms. Lear.
Okay.
Hannah, can you tell me how much longer of a presentation that you had, possibly?
Probably 45 seconds.
Okay. I would like to make a motion to let Ms. Lear finish the last 45 seconds of her presentation comment.
I'll second that motion.
So I have a motion and a second to allow Ms. Lear to finish her presentation. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, no. No. Okay, motion fails. Next would be Jessica Kimry. Ms. Kimry?
Good evening, board members. Conclusion. During this time, I have found many eye-opening things that happen within our school system. First, you will see your attached itemized budget, which you are all familiar with. It states that you have $4.9 million in savings. Why are we not allocating these funds to ensure playground safety for our children? As a school system, we need to ensure that all decisions made are followed through on and finish what we start. I will continue to be persistent on this matter. It is my responsibility as a parent and taxpayer to hold you all accountable until this safety issue is resolved. In conclusion, ensuring that safety of our school playground is not just about avoiding injuries or fines. It's about providing children with secure, joyful spaces they need to grow physically, socially, and emotionally. By making the right investments and creating clear safety protocols, we can give children a space where they can take risks in a controlled environment and develop skills that will benefit them for years to come. I ask that you, school board members, take the responsibility seriously to ensure our playgrounds are safe, well-maintained, and equipped with the best materials. The safety of our children should never be compromised, and it is our collective duty to make sure they have the best possible opportunities for play, growth, and learning. Thank you for your attention, and I look forward to working with you all to create safer, healthier, and happier playgrounds for our students.
Thank you, Ms. Kimmery. Next, we have Marla Chaffas.
I know, I'm short. I'm sorry, I apologize. My name is Marla Chavis, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I have a grandchild at Millenport. I also went to Millenport. I'm going to tell y'all that's been many moons ago. Actually, I am here to ask that you support the calls for the PTO as far as funding. I know that money is always the downfall for everything, but I think the commissioners may have given you, maybe we asked for 31 million, the shortfall was 20-some million. With that allocation, and then, not knowing, but 4 million, is your unaccountable as far as uncommitted funds. So we're looking at 4 million. And I think, Mr. List, you're the finance, as far as the chair for the finance for the board. Is that correct? So there again, that. I am a former Stanley County School employee. I had the liberties of working at North Albemarle Elementary. With that said, you all know it was closed. Those parents, 98% free and reduced lunch, didn't have much of a voice. But again, the school was closed. The students were dispersed to Central Elementary and East Albemarle. With that said, I know that the board at the time, which many of you were not on there, maybe Ms. Watson, I'm not really sure, but that was allocated and voted on to be the central office. They were going to, make it to compliance to house the central office. Was for free. I know that now with you guys moving and taking on and purchasing the old builder, whatever, off of 138, all well and well is good, but again, what we end up planning, we don't stick to. But again, that's another tangent there, just a little history behind, here we are. Being a school administration, I know that, you're supposed to have your fire drill within the first 15 days of school. You're supposed to have all of your forms and so forth and all of your sanitation inspections. I do have here for y'all, I didn't make you all a copy just to save a tree, but I'm going to pass this over, the fire extinguish, the sanitation, and then it gets back to, and I think, feel free, but back in the days that it was up to the maintenance department. And the maintenance department, one of theirs, the assessing the area, and I won't go through all of these, but one of their key thing is playground equipment, monkey bars, slides, soccer poles. Are they free of jagged edges, broken parts, and pointed corners? That being, the answers are yes, no, not applicable, does not address, address immediately, address soon, address in the future, and meet standards. That is your record. That is Stanley County Schools inspections and has to be signed off on.
Ms. Chavis.
Yes,
your
am I
3
over?
minutes is
Oh,
up.
okay, well, there you go.
If you
I'm gonna
have
leave
anything,
this.
please do, and they can
No,
get
that's
copies
okay.
to the board.
Yeah, I'll just leave y'all that, but again, these are, again, never mind, okay. Y'all
you.
look it over, because that's yours.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Will Harrington.
How y'all doing tonight? I've had enough theatrics for one night. My name's Will Harrington. I am a part of the Millenport, actually PTO when I'm not working, and get a chance to go attend, along with my wife and the whole crew back there. I was asked to speak. I I guess on behalf of some of the fathers that didn't make it. I stand behind my kids. A lot of these kids at this school, it's a very tight-knit school. We just transferred in and started going to it this year, and it is it's an unbelievably close school. The things they do for the teachers, the PTO, hands down, is probably one of the best that I have ever heard of or seen. I don't know much more than any other elementary schools because we haven't been to them, but I support them and what they're doing. I think a lot more parents at the school should have been here. I wish they would have been for a bigger outpouring and outshowing for this. I don't think we're asking for a lot, and I know that I can't ask questions and you answer back. I think the moral of today's meeting is how can we come together as a school and a community and board members to maybe alleviate some of the issues that we have with this matter. I grew up on rusty playgrounds. You know, I think everybody's got scars and sliding boards and stuff like that. And but I think those days are getting pushed to the side and they're long gone. And we want our children safe on something that they can play on. And I think that's not too terribly much to ask for. And we want them to enjoy their childhood at the school. 41 years old, I can still remember playing on the playground equipment at North Albemarle. That's where I went. And I do remember our PTO, they put up a lot of money for that and put it in the ground while I was still a kid there at that school. So if there's anything you can do to help us out with this situation, I'd be greatly appreciative of it for my children and the future of other children that'll get to pass through that school. So I appreciate my time. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Harrington. Next on our agenda is a presentation from Child Nutrition, Ms. Ashley Tombasco.
Good evening, Board. I figured this would be a great opportunity to tell you about our National School Breakfast Week we had the beginning of last month. All the schools participated, and it was a great opportunity for us to kind of get every one of our students should be eating breakfast and lunch in the district. I keep saying that the reason they're not are the options that we currently have, and I am currently working this week and next week are my deadlines to get all the options for next year ready. I thought I'd be able to change a lot more coming in. As you all know, I just started in August, for those that don't know. I wanted to hit the ground running, and I didn't get to do it as quick as I wanted to because of the federal laws and regulations, but we will be there by the start of next school year, so I'm very happy with that. These are just a few photos of the staff participation. The staff on my side for Child Nutrition and Stanley County Schools really come together and make a great team at all these locations. And they're the three schools that won, which were ND, West Stanley Middle School, and North Stanley High School. So they're just a few highlights there. You can go to the next one, Hope. These are just some other photos of the people participating, decorating all different options. I started in August, and these are our numbers currently as of yesterday. So we were at 35% breakfast across the district. That's pretty low. We're only up to 36% right now, so we haven't had much growth there. Lunch numbers have increased by 5%, which I'm very impressed with across the district. We have some schools that have almost 90% participation in the district, which is amazing. The way that I see we can change this is by changing the options that we are going to give our students. Next year, some of the elementary schools currently have grab-and-go options available, but that's only at elementary. There's no reason why we can't do that for everybody across the district, so we're going to start that come August for our students. I also took all the sweet options out. That's been the one biggest complaint across the district amongst the community as well, that we have all too many sweet options. So we've reduced that menu by 75%. Every student will have much better options to choose from next year. Lunch, I offered whole muscle meats for lunch as well, which is a big change for us instead of all the processed foods that we are offered currently. So I see a lot of good things to come for us from Child Nutrition for next year. Thank you, everybody, for your time.
Thank you so much, Ms. Tombasco. Next, we need to approve the minutes for the consent agenda, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Move to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Those are approved. Next, we have committee reports. Glenda Gibson for Capital Improvement Planning. Ms. Gibson, do you have a report?
Other than, Madam Chair, we did have a meeting, March the 24th. Mainly, the main part of that was looking at budget and capital items, and I don't have anything to bring before the board, and I do believe that Mr. Dudney is going to go over that as well when he's up. Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Gibson. Ms. Allman for policy.
Yeah, we met at the end of March, and I believe these policies are just going to be tabled for 30 days, and can't tell if they're on the screen, so I'll just read them out quickly. 7340, 7430, 7510, 7805, 7820, 7821, 7920, 7921, and 4150. And if anybody in the public wants to go and review those are actually on our website, and they will be tabled for 30 days.
Okay. And then next you have policies to rescind next month.
Policies to be rescinded, 5125, 5370, 5620, and 5500.
So these are just for your information. We do not need to take a vote on those since they're policies that are being tabled and then ones that will be rescinded. I would ask you, Dr. Dennis, for the policy 7340 for the employee dress and appearance. I know the committee had a lot of discussion about that. I'd like to see you have some discussion with your principals maybe when you have your next principal meeting, just to make sure they're aware that that policy is out there and that we're making some changes to it.
Yeah, we'll do it. We have a meeting on Thursday, so we'll bring that up during that meeting.
Okay, next on the agenda is curriculum instruction, Mr. Lynn Plummer with the local AIG plan.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Every 3 years, we go through a cycle of resubmitting an AIG plan, what we are going to do to strengthen and support our AIG identified students throughout the district, kindergarten through grade 13 even. So our plans are actually due by July 15th. We're just trying to get ahead of the game and take care of this so that we can start putting things in place and start having conversations with principals and teachers in schools. There are 3 documents that are in board docs for you. One of them is the plan at this point in its entirety. It's about 63 pages printed out. We have taken the plan and created this presentation that Hope has up just as to give you an idea of what some of those shifts are. There are 6 standards within the AIG plan, and just to outline what some of those changes and those major shifts are that we see moving into this next cycle, looking at 2025 to 2028. We do have 10% of our student population are identified as AIG, so that is anywhere as early as kindergarten all the way through grade 13, especially for those students who stay for that 5th year at the early college that we are funded on. These are our 6 standards. The standards from last time changed very little. The content, the meat in them, changes a little more than what we see with the standards that are set forth by the state board, but this is what they give us to work within, and then we just give them, what are we doing locally? What does this look like in Stanley County schools based on these things? So one thing that we just always talk about is change. Change is not always easy, change is not always fun, but we've got to change how we look at it. And what is that shift, and what does that mean so that we can do what's ultimately best for our students? That's what it's about in the end. With Standard 1, our big looking at change, one thing that we really dug into was renorming the identification pathways. looking at ways that students do identify for AIG programming. It's very important to the AIG specialist to stay caught up to time, that we're not still working off of numbers that we had in 1990 or even 2020. We're trying to be current with what we have and just where we are, looking at norms and norming of tests across the board. Working with really monitoring what that talent development program looks like with second graders and third graders, so that we are really pushing and helping to support them when they do get to that identification stage and help scaffold them so that they do become identified. Our teachers have worked a lot with helping to support classroom teachers. We know that AIG funding does not provide an AIG teacher at every school, but in order to help those classroom teachers when the AIG teacher is not there, giving them some resources and support. How can you take your lessons and your standards and bump them up that level to help support those students and give them the rigor of what they're looking for in their lessons? And they've worked a lot with communication. What can we do to support the staff that's in the school, but then also students' families? What can we do outside of the school that can help support them and help them grow? With Standard 2, you'll notice some of these things, there are definitely overlaps just in the way the state has the standards, but again, communication and helping to better make sure that we've got the right materials. Because AIG funding falls short a lot of times with what we have, we make the best of what we have by really putting a lot of our money into our AIG specialists and our staffing side of that. But when we are available, Mr. Dudney works with us to make sure that we've got new materials and things that we can provide to help them. We're looking at some mentorship opportunities, looking into the next 3 years and what that may look like for some of our younger students with our older students, to help prepare them for taking Math 1 in middle school, to help prepare them for honors courses and AP courses when they get to high school, just to support that as they make those natural progressions through their school. Looking at ways that we can provide more opportunities, not just for students, but then also their parents. How do we involve parents and make sure that they know what's out there, what's in the community, not just in the school, that can help support them and their children. Standard 3, again, digs deeper into those standards and how are we pushing us what we've got further and making more of what we have, but then be able to support them even more. Math 24 has been a popular thing with middle school students, but our AIG specialists are wanting to take on the charge and bring that with down to elementary school as well, to help boost and encourage that for when they get to middle school and have that understanding. Standard 4 just deals with us looking more into what are we providing for teachers to help support them to be ready for these students and to know how to best support these students in giving them the best opportunities and giving teachers the professional development along the way. Standard 5 really just involves getting data, getting feedback. What does that look like? What are we missing? Where are we not noticing something that we can better provide? And just having all stakeholders' voices in the programming of things. And Standard 6 is just the overall, how are we monitoring that and ensuring that AIG students are growing? How are we seeing that the program is getting out of it what we're hoping it gets? Ultimately, we want that student growth and we want to see those students succeed and go further. I would be remiss if I did not mention these ladies on the screen here. Ms. Raper, our Director of Secondary Education, Diane Alston, Pam Hyatt, Jill Trexler, Angie Scaff. They are all here tonight, just came out to support, but they are our elementary AIG specialists who I assure you have worked tirelessly through the entire year. Up until today, we were still sending emails of let's dig deeper, let's make sure that we've said this the way we want it to read. A lot of it, I will say, they have really made sure that it is parent friendly, so that it's really easy for us to get in teacher jargon and start saying things that don't mean anything to anybody else. But we've really tried to make it parent friendly because these are put on DPI's website for the public to view, and we want people to know and understand and be able to ask questions to make sure that we are giving students what they need. So what we're asking for tonight is, if possible, be able to approve the plan as we have written it. Again, it's not due until July 15th, but this just gives us the end of the school year this year to start sharing it with teachers, start sharing it with parents and students, just so that we know what those opportunities are before August 1st hits and we're back in the building.
Can I ask you a question, Mr. Plummer?
Sure.
Just kind of a general question. When a student is identified as a AIG, what type of serve time do they get, like elementary students and then also middle students?
Well, it really is going to depend on the student. We have done a really, Ms. Hedrick has really helped us this year on the personnel side, making sure that we're looking at head count so that we can maximize what that looks like. Obviously, we are not able to have somebody at every school all day, every day. So our elementary specialists share go between 3 schools. So that puts them at some schools 2 days a week, some schools 1 day a week, just depending on what that head count looks like at the school, being able to pull students and work with them depending on their identification, reading, math, and just what that looks like. The middle school side, we have been fortunate that we've got a lot of middle school teachers who are AIG certified, that we have them in the classrooms where they're already in there with the math and reading in their classrooms. And then we have AIG leads at the schools that help support the paperwork, help support the planning if teachers need ideas, and support with resources as well.
Any other questions for Mr. Plummer?
I do. Of course, you know I'm going to have one.
Always.
Always. First of all, thank you for this. And when I see our AIG teachers out there, I can't thank you enough, definitely, for all that you do. And when I see them out there, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, we need more. I mean, from what you've said. And I know at one time that, we had the consortium. Now are we able to provide our own? We talked about this with getting our teacher's license here at our Stanley County schools.
We have worked through a local endorsement this year with several middle school teachers. We want to continue that, to be able to do that. It's not the same thing as having the add-on license added onto your teaching certificate, but it does just show that effort on the teacher's behalf of putting forth that effort and dedicated support in providing services for students in the regular classroom as well. So that will continue. We don't have a lot of means outside of that, simply because we've seen that AIG state budget just dwindle through the years. We can look back 10, 12 years ago, and AIG teachers were each at 1 school or 2 schools. And we even got up to one point with, based on what the budget was, that they were sharing 4 schools. So we're trying to lessen that load and make sure that they've got a doable head count, that they're able to see those students to really make that impact.
I think as, as we talk up here and we look at curriculum and we look at budgeting, funding, I mean, the AIG program is so important. And again, I look at these teachers back there and I know that they are shared and it's thin. I mean, it would be wonderful if we had one at every school. I mean, and I think that needs to be a goal that we have. Now, I know we're not going to meet that goal next year, but with funding, and we've got to really start pushing this, because I look back and I see 10% of students identified. I'm not so sure that we don't have even more, or that we should have more. And these elementary AIG, they are just spread so thin, and I want to support them. And I think we really need to put a real focus on this. Secondly, in that middle grades, I am glad that we have more of our teachers licensed in AIG. I would love to see that we have at every grade level, that we have an AIG math teacher that teaches the AIG honors math, and those are the students that's in that class. Now, if we had to put a few more students in there to make a large enough class, I know that we could do that. And we have an AIG reading teacher on every grade level in middle school. So we have 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade that has AIG reading teacher, AIG math, and so on. I would love to see us branch out and have AIG environmental science. So there are goals that I think that we need to really start looking at. And then, because I feel like when we've got our elementary and we are really putting a focus in that middle, then we've got our students that we hear from so often that are wanting more AP classes in the high school. Well, they already have that rigor. They've got that standard. They've sat in these classes, and now they want to be in those AP classes in high school. So I applaud everyone that worked on this, okay? And I know it has to be submitted. It has to be approved. I just want to continue to figure out how can we gain more teachers, and I know that's with funding, because AIG is extremely important, and I applaud every one of you that are back there for all that you do, and how you're stretched so thin.
One thing that I find very interesting is even though the 4 of them spend their entire lives in elementary school every day, every time we're talking about the plan and working on the plan, their real focus is high school. And what are we doing here to get them there? And how do we truly enhance that programming? And that's what their heart is in there for. So the 4 of them have definitely put the heart into helping to grow and make that happen.
Right. And I know they have. And again, I appreciate it. I just hope, I would like for this board to, to continue to put this in the forefront with our AIG program and our funding and our licensure and our teachers. We need more. We need more. Okay, but thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions for Mr. Plummer? Okay. If not, then we do need to approve this. So I entertain a motion to approve the local AIG plan as presented by Mr. Plummer.
Move to approve.
I have a motion by Ms. Gibson. Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Watson. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. It is approved.
Thank you.
Next, Mr. Plummer, you're up again with the SCOVE partnership.
So we have had a lot of discussion the past several years about really making sure that we are giving students academically what they need and making sure that those diplomas we're giving them at the end of high school mean something. And it's hard when those students aren't sitting right in front of you every day. We remember those COVID days when we had so many students who were remote. And as we started to think through ideas and brainstorm and just trying to jog our minds of what can we do to really help support students, we came across a partnership that was looking for somebody to help support at the same time. Rowan Salisbury Schools has a very strong virtual program called Summit. And Summit has live teachers that work for Rowan Salisbury Schools that provide their services to their virtual school as that option. We have historically used Edmentum as being an outsourced provider for that, which is ultimately get on the computer, complete your course. There are teachers behind the scenes that grade, that communicate, that make sure you've got your things there. but it's not the same. There's a lot of times that a lot of that communication may come in late. A lot of that communication is not just staying on top of that to make sure that student has what they need at the time, to be able to pull them in, have those extra sessions with them, give them those reminders about assignments and that support along the way. So in talking with Rowan Salisbury, we just started having conversations throughout the year. Dr. Dennis and Ms. Raper and myself, we met with Rowan Salisbury's superintendent. We've met with their director of alternate programming, I believe is his title. And most recently, we've met with the principal of Summit, Miss Stephanie Gray, who was with us tonight as well. Just about what these supports look like and what they mean and what they offer for our students. So as we started going through and parsing out what could this be, it's a great opportunity for us to not relinquish and let go of our students in this partnership, but to make sure that we have other capable teachers on the receiving end that are supporting them with their studies, with their assignments, just with their moving forward with their academics as a whole. On Monday night, last Monday night, I attended the Rowan Salisbury Board of Education meeting with Ms. Raper to hear Rowan Salisbury present this to their board. Their board was eager for the partnership and ways that they could expand their outreach and support where there are districts who don't necessarily have the available positions to be able to offer those district teachers to teach and are having to outsource to other programs. So we have an MOA that we have presented to you tonight to work on for Rowan Salisbury to be our students' teachers. Still working virtually. They are providing the coursework. They are providing the devices. They are providing any other experiences that they do with their students. Our students can be involved too. In fact, beyond devices, they also give them a lot of at-home materials just to help support them and them to use, whether it be manipulatives for math class, whether it be dry erase boards to practice with your handwriting, things like that. They are 100% in to help bring our students in to be able to have those same things. On our side of it, we would still be the liaison between Rowan Salisbury schools and our students and having those conversations. We would pay tuition to Rowan Salisbury schools, similar to what we do for Edmonton. And then we're still here working with them with IEPs and with ESL and with AIG and the planning side of that. They have the teachers that can help deliver the services. We don't have to have that on top of it. That way their EC teacher is working with their classroom teacher, their ESL teacher, their AIG teacher is working with their classroom teacher, and they can have that conversation around what is it that student needs. So ultimately, we're looking to host an informational night for parents. Rowan Salisbury has put together a great orientation for parents to explain what that looks like. Come and meet the teachers, see what this is like in this experience, to be able to set them up for success in the fall for students who are enrolled in SCOVE and understanding what this looks like from the Rowan Salisbury side of things. So the MOA is included in the board packet tonight, the same MOA that was shared with Rowan Salisbury last week. So we're just looking again to hopefully be able to start this communication line and not let it be an August conversation.
How many students do we currently have that are being served through SCOVE?
Currently, we have between 60 and 69, depending on the day.
And how many, I'm assuming that Rowan Salisbury has more?
They do. Rowan Salisbury, so when our SCOVE was at its height through COVID, Rowan Salisbury brought in Summit around the same time, and their school was probably 3 or 4 times what ours was. Now,
we have 386 full-time enrollees, K-12, and we're projected for 399 for next school year.
So right under 400.
So I have, I'm sorry, Megan.
Is there a, so if we're paying tuition per student to Rowan, what is the breakdown between the other company that we were using versus us paying Rowan?
Rowan has asked for less than what we did with Edmentum. A lot of that is we're just basing it off of what our ADM is. Also with them, we have the ability that if a student starts there and they have a change in family at home and their virtual doesn't work for them anymore, they will give us the prorated amount back. When we pay to Edmentum, what we pay stays with them. We don't see any of that come back. So it does come out cheaper per student in working with them. We didn't ask for that. That's just what Rowan Salisbury said would be fair, because that's what they do. That's how they do things within the school with their students, and they ask the same thing of us. And they added that clause in there too. If we get a student that goes into it late, we pay a prorated amount. If they come back to us, then we would get that back as well.
The way I looked at it, it's about half the price, or roughly some thereof, or.
Well, and I think especially the transiency that sometimes we see, it's hard to pay that large sum for a student that can't help it, but life happens, and then that's not the program for them, or mom and dad move, and they need to make that change. It just makes it hard for that doesn't come back to us. We don't keep that seat and somebody else can slide into it. Once that license is used, it's used for that student only.
So
May I ask
Mr. Plummer,
to come up here?
I had a question. So when you said, I noticed in here it says that they can withdraw from that program. Do they come back to us at that point to a traditional school, or how does that work?
If they are withdrawing to come back to our traditional school, then they would go to their domicile school at that point. Obviously, if they're leaving to move out of county or go elsewhere, then that, or a different placement, that would look different. But the thought would be if they're leaving their virtual school's not right for them anymore, then that they would come back to their domicile school here.
And then the second part of my question was when you were talking about IEPs and 504s. So we do that here.
Correct.
How does that translate to curriculum and accommodations there?
So our EC teacher here will work with their EC teacher and those teachers there to facilitate those plannings, that meeting, to make sure they've got what they need.
And so there's no
along the
issue
way.
with the sharing of information between the two districts?
No.
Okay.
No.
Just want to make sure. Okay. Thank you.
That's great.
So my question, thank you. Again, this is for K through 12. Okay.
Yes.
Now, I don't think we have as many younger ones, and I don't think we're foreseeing having an increase in that, are we?
We haven't seen a huge increase the past several years, partly I think just because those foundational skills sometimes can be very difficult to just put a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old on the computer and just go through that. This, I think, opens some eyes a little bit to what it's like if they're there talking to a live teacher who is certified and has all the credentials of anybody in a classroom does. Not that Edmentum doesn't have certified teachers, but it's not always them on the other side of that device. A lot of times it's working through that coursework on your own.
So I love that it's a live teacher. I love that. Your teachers then, from Rowan Salisbury, I'm just going to say they are used to this. So in other words, are you kind of keeping your same group set of teachers that for next year?
Yes. So our teachers would serve alongside Stanley County students and Rowan Salisbury students along together. And so that would provide the same level of instruction to each student, much as what Mr. Plummer was speaking to of services for EC, ESL, all of those pieces. They'll be served alongside each other. They will receive the same materials, the same funding, the same instruction that Rowan Salisbury students do each and every day. But yes, I think that does lead to the piece of something that they're not used to. Our students do have, or haven't had the opportunity to have thus far. Our students have live synchronous classes daily, elementary, middle,
We have a larger synchronous, which is that live face-to-face program each day. They're on screen with the teacher about 3 hours a day throughout the day. And then they have small group instruction for EC, ESL services, AIG, differentiated to their needs, and then also small group instruction. And then our high school students have, we tend to try to scaffold that so that our students prepare for a high school setting of a more asynchronous and synchronous blend, where they have live instruction with live teachers around 1 to 2 hours throughout their day, which is less than our elementary middle. And then they work through our course catalog, which has been built and modified and is actively engaged with live teachers throughout their day. But it's not as much face-to-face instruction, much of preparing them for what could be offered through other virtual programs and or virtual college programs that they would be interested in.
And I wanted that accountability piece to be there for our students, because I know that it seems like sometimes in the past we've had students that they thought SCOVE was the route they really wanted to go, and we had a few that were not successful with that. And I don't know about the accountability piece, and I want all the students to, if this is what they want to do, to be met with success, but they have to be held accountable for all the instruction and all their work. And I'm assuming that you are in close contact with parents. I mean, I guess it's on the, Power School, of course, that may be changing,
Infinite
but.
Campus.
Yes, but they're able to see just what their child does. Now, are we using any of our Stanley County teachers at all?
For the only teacher in this scenario that would be used is for those EC services, or for ESL or for AIG, where we need to test and determine what those needs are. But the services, then the actual instruction would be provided by their teachers.
So our AIG teachers are not providing the instruction, but they may be helping with the testing or.
Correct. And I mean, that's very similar to what we're doing now with SCOVE.
Any other questions? All right. We do need to approve this, so I entertain a motion to approve the SCOVE partnership with Rowan Salisbury School System as presented.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second. Any more discussion on that? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. It's approved.
Thank you much.
Thank you so much. Next, we have auxiliary services, Mr. Terry Dutney.
Good evening. In your board packet, you actually have the presentation for our local funds request and our capital outlay request, as well as our technology request. We broke that out this year, where before that all fell under capital outlay with technology. So we've broke that out as a separate line item. So there's roughly about 6 pages of the budget presentation for that we will be presenting to the county commissioners at your request, if you approve of it tonight. On our first page, as we've discussed in work session, a lot of this is our local current expense, the first 2 pages, and those line items that are listed. I won't, unless you want me to go line item for line item, I'll just go to the second page and tell you what will be the total amount we will request from our county commissioners, if you agree.
We did break it down. We put them and kind of categorized them, and we updated some of the numbers, but as we were instructed by the Finance Committee, we kind of used everything we had last year and just got the numbers more.
Right. Yeah, and before we, like Dr. Dennis said, we did break them down to the different initiatives that we have put into place. So that's a good thing. People can look and say, okay, what is your personnel related expense? What's your new initiatives? What's your maintenance expense and stuff of that sort? So you can see that. Total local funds requested, you'll see on the second page at the bottom, is $20,983,400. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I want to go back to the first page.
Okay.
And this is a Mr. Plummer question, I think. Our EduCore tutoring, are we anticipating that are we going to be able to keep that tutoring? I mean, I'm hearing.
We don't have it right now. Right now, they're paying tutors out of Title I money.
Yes.
So if we got those tutors back, then they could use their Title I money for other stuff, and we'd fund the tutors that way.
ESSER is what paid that originally.
That's, okay.
So we still have a great partnership with North Carolina Education Corps.
Uh-huh.
Supplied the tutors. It's the funding side of it.
Right. Okay, because, well,
We've got great
I
tutors
know,
out there.
and I don't want to give that up. That's where I was concerned about the funding for the tutors.
Any other questions concerning local funds? Okay. If you'll go to page 3, where we actually have our capital outlay budget request.
Actually, Mr. Dudley, I
Yes.
just want to note, the classified pay scale, that was started this past year.
Yes.
We've estimated about $1.3 million.
Mm-hmm.
And in about 3 years, because that's not funded from the state, that eats up our fund balance of about $4.9 million.
Mm-hmm.
And this was for a classified pay scale. These are bus drivers, these are non-certified folks, these are maintenance people, employees. These are just what I would understand is not a teacher.
Right.
And it was mandated from the state that to a minimum pay scale. And your office and the superintendent were able to use ESSER funding, federal grant funding, in such a way that allowed us as a county to save that money. And if we go back and we listen to the December audit report where we discussed all of these things and we discussed the fund balance, it is our projection and our expectation that because that has not been funded from the state and it is mandated, it does have to come out of local funding. And that will draw down that balance to zero. So without the additional funding to pay for it, you'll see through, for the public to see through this budget request, that is just one piece of where our fund balance is going to go. Do I understand that correctly?
You do.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
Yes, sir. And currently we're working on our phase 2 of that, where we'll actually put the meat to the potatoes on what our classified pay plan would look like.
And it was recommended by the auditor in December, if I recall correctly, that we would want roughly 3% of our budget in savings. Similarly to, in December, we had 2 boilers go down over Christmas. That comes out of local funding. That's not a capital outlay budget that was involved. An HVAC repair, that was $450,000. And we expect Oakboro, $30,000 worth of lumber, I think, sitting out there for the fire egresses.
Yeah.
But much of that is coming out of our capital outlay and our local.
Yes.
That was not previously funded.
Exactly, most likely. And just to make the record straight, we've had a lot of projects that's hit our table this year. Me and your maintenance director, that was initially when we presented a budget to the county commissioners last year, that we did not get the funding for, and things that we didn't even have on the budget last year for a request that has come up that we've had to do this year regardless. So there is some items that we have that will be dipping into the capital outlay fund balance as the end of this year occurs because of those items. Okay.
I have a question and kind of directing it to you and Mr. List. So with our classified pay scale, and I know that we are working hard with every classified employee, and we're continuing to get them on a certain pay scale, but then we also are wanting to, year by year or whatever, increase that, because we have bus driver shortages.
We had managers that went 20 years here. and
Without
never had a
anything,
raise. Yes.
okay,
Cafeteria
without
managers,
anything.
yes.
So we're working to get that, which I applaud this board for doing that, and you, Mr. Dudney. So I guess I'm looking at this, I guess, Mr. Lisk, with, have we asked enough?
I don't know. A study came out today, 2025 study by the Public School Forum. We ranked 97th out of 100 counties in local appropriations. That's as of the 22-23 school year. You can go to DPI. It's readily available public information. We're perpetually in the bottom 3% of funding, both in capital. You can look at a 5-year average. You could look at local appropriations per student. You can look at teacher supplements. Anson funds higher than we do. Montgomery funds higher than we do. Every other county around us funds higher than we do. Yet our tax base is 59th out of, so the local revenue per student is ranked 59th out of 100 counties here in the state.
And, you know, just to also be, before it to be known by the public, we compete not only in teachers, we compete in our classified staff where our neighboring counties, because most of our neighboring counties pay higher in their classified staff than we do. So,
Part of the request prior to was teachers, and we've
Exactly.
really made a focus on teachers. And I commend the commissioner board. Last year gave extra dollars
For the
after
supplement.
their initial budget request. Because as of the 2025 study, here on the most recent one, they do it every year, where you can pull county budget data, it's readily available public information, where we fund less than 21% of our revenue to education. We rank 79th out of 100 counties. But I expect that might go up a little bit. We've aimed, when I came on the board, it was a flat dollar supplement. We were then changing it to 4%. Or to a percentage, which was
5%.
roughly 4% at the time. We've worked with the commissioner board. I think we're at 6 now.
We're at 6 now,
And our
yes.
target has been 8. So they have really worked with us on that. But again, we as a county have an ability. We have zero general obligation debt. We have an investment grade credit rating. We have half of our revenue of a county sitting in fund balance, roughly 50 million plus or minus, I think, last time I looked. Sitting in that fund balance. But we're, again, according to the study, 97th out of 100 counties, and we rank 59th in our tax revenue.
So when we get to our teacher supplements, we are not there yet at the 8%.
Nope. No, ma'am.
Where, we are where with our teacher supplements?
6%.
6%.
We want to be 8 just to be closer to some of the counties.
We do want to be 8, yes.
Yeah.
So this has to be, in order for us to get to 8% for our teacher supplements, then we see the $2 million.
That's reoccurring.
And that's reoccurring.
Yeah, you have to pay it in perpetuity.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So again, when I see our teachers sitting back there and for what, and all that our teachers do, then, you know, we're advocating. We are working hard to get to the 8% supplement and to continue to build that. Again, my question, in all of this, have we asked enough?
With the projection that we have at the table at this current time, you know, that's where we stand. Now, granted, to compete, probably not. You know, I would love for our county to pay 10% to teacher supplements. You know, then you're going to be competing with your Roy and Salisbury, your Cabarrus, your Charlotte Meck. I mean, no, we may not ever get to Charlotte Meck, but, you know, we could be a competing to that. We're not metropolitan Charlotte Meck. We would be country Stanley County. So to even get the 10% would be a great idea.
Well, we've got to be
But we've got to keep working
Mhm.
with our county commissioners to
Mhm.
see the need
Yes.
to keep the good teachers that we have in this county and to even recruit greater teachers. We've got to grow.
And what did get funded last year, which, so for the public, and our committee and our board said, well, okay, we gave a very detailed presentation last year, a very detailed budget request. Things that didn't get funded, because once we didn't get the request, the superintendent, Mr. Dudney, have to go back and pull out items that aren't going to get funded. But it was very much curriculum-based, because you have capital and then you have unrestricted monies. These are hard-to-staff incentive bonuses, 4 secondary instructional coaches, a teacher academy, a Teaching Stanley Scholarship Program, classroom supplies, curriculum instructional support initiatives for $750,000. Then you go into capital. So there was a real focus on curriculum, AIG, supporting our teachers, the raises that the state was mandating down to the local taxpayer. I would urge you to speak with all of our representatives. Mr. Honeycutt's a great advocate for Stanley County. But we are asking for the things that we need. Cost of labor goes up. Insurance goes up. As everyone knows, everything that you buy and purchase has inflated. And it's that same way inside of a school budget. Unfortunately, Stanley County Schools is not a taxing authority. We only can allocate what is given by the county taxpayer from the commissioner board. And those are very, very tough decisions. And we have far more extensive needs in our budget than maybe, to your point, Mrs. Gibson, than what our county can afford all at one time.
I think one thing you got to look at too is they're looking at substantial raises at the state level. And if you get those raises, then you have to incur the extra cost of the benefits.
You need local
and
staff.
the retirement and all that.
Yeah.
And that will come directly out of your fund balance from your local current expense.
Yeah.
And if they do what they say, and I hope they do, they're going to go to $50,000 if that were to happen for a beginning teacher, and that's a significant jump.
Exactly. And, just to recall, 3 years ago, we had to move our classified staff to $13 an hour. Some staff got as much as $2.50 to $2.75 an hour increase. The following year, it had to go from 13 to 15. There was a lot of staff. At that point, like Mr. Liz said earlier, we had staff that had been here for years and years and years getting the same as somebody walked in the door. So that's when we knew we had to do something with our classified pay scale to have a differentiation. And I appreciate you as a board approving what was presented to y'all to even get to that point to where we have a step incremental pay scale to show the privilege to our staff and for the years of service they give to Stanley County.
Well, and I'm going to go back to what Mr. List said too, with our pay for our teachers. We really do need to continue to reach out to Representative Cody Honeycutt, others even surrounding us, because our teachers, we need to continue to increase the pay, but then we need to really express to our representatives, just because our teachers become veteran teachers at year 15, they don't need to stop and freeze their pay where they don't get anything.
Yes.
And so really that is a slap in the face to veteran teachers. And anything that this board can do for us to hang on to our veteran teachers, they're our experts, and we need them.
And not only that, Ms. Gibson, is to also support the initiative of reinstating master's pay to people that take it on their own to go get that advanced level of degree. That is a big push from our governor in North Carolina now to get that reinstated. And, the community need to know that, I remember 28 years ago when I graduated from college, a 4-year degree was a big thing to have. Now it's almost like you've got to have that master's degree. You've got to go further and get that doctorate degree or that advanced level degree, so to be a competitive person in the market of today. So it should be important that we recognize our teachers and the willingness of our teachers to go above and beyond to get that master's degree or get that advanced level degree. We still give the national board 12%. That's still out there for the state. But, teachers have been hit with not getting longevity anymore. That just keeps demeaning the profession as being a teacher.
Well, it does, and we know, we get the legislative reports, and I know we're getting just a little bit off somewhat the budget here, but I know that in our legislative reports and trying to push it through, whether it will be voted through or not, is to reestablish longevity pay, is to establish the master's pay, to put it back in place. is to grant our teachers, once they retire, to go immediately back into the classroom and not have that waiting period. All of these things are things that local school boards, and we are, we truly are advocating for our teachers, and we're advocating for our classified employees. And we'll continue to do so. And when it takes funding, and it's going to take funding, and we will continue to ask for it.
And to elaborate sort of with what Mr. Lisk was saying, that we had to go back after we got our funding from last year from the county commissioners for the 24-25 school year, just for local current expense with what we had requested versus what we got. We had to cut the local current expense budget a little over $6.2 million in order to meet what funding we would get. And capital outlay was almost $5 million from what was requested. So, public doesn't know that, so I just want to let that be known.
Well, and in fairness to the commissioner board, they have a tough decision. With the revaluation, property values have increased, and many boards have continued to stay revenue neutral. So as costs go up, we've discussed labor costs. If we're staying at the same level of revenue, there's going to be less money as a county to invest in the departments that they fund, such as the sheriff's department and the school system are the two largest in their budget. So it's their tough decision is how do you adjust the tax rate to account for an appropriate increase in the budget that can cover the cost and accomplish the longer term objectives. And that's where if they stay revenue neutral and costs have gone up, then there's going to be less money to meet our increase in cost.
Okay.
Wanna move on
Anything
to
else
capital?
concerning local current? Okay, on the third page is where capital outlay budget requests is listed. You'll see we did the same thing there. We broke down the different initiatives that capital outlay is responsible for paying for. And then, you'll see it about halfway through the page when you're talking about facilities, some of the line items that we have got in there for facilities. I just wanted to bring emphasis to there is 3 areas in the capital outlay budget that we have addressed playground equipment. And I wanted that to be known tonight, that we are looking at playground equipment across our whole county. So I felt like that was very important to be known. But on second page of our capital outlay budget, you'll see that we're asking for $17,328,000. Last year, we requested a little over $9 million, and didn't get but a little over $4 million. So, I just want people to know we are requesting it.
And to put that in perspective, we have 19 school buildings. We are replacing one roof for $750,000, I think, plus or minus, is going to be the cost. And they're 20-year roofs. So roughly a third of the budget each year if we're replacing one roof per year, and a lot of these roofs are old. A lot of these roofs have foam roofs and they're leaking and they're causing other problems. Just that alone takes up roughly a third of the budget. Close to it. And then when you have an HVAC system and a boiler go down that's roughly the same cost, bleachers that need to be repaired, playgrounds that need to be repaired. There's extensive facility needs, and I know the commissioner board has toured with us. This board has continued to tour every single school and looking at it and requesting the funding. And in fact, I have requested a capital needs-based capital grant last year that was denied. That's your lottery money coming back to the county. And that was unanimously denied last year. That's up to upwards of a $62 million grant that can be used for facilities. Now, there are guidelines for that, but that is at the state level. So when we look at that, $4 million seems like a lot of money, but when you think about one roof, when you think about all the needs of the county and how old the buildings are, some of the HVAC systems, I believe our maintenance director and maybe the prior maintenance director was having to buy parts off of eBay. The Freon is outdated. They're having you can't even get it anymore. So our systems are very, very old, our facilities. And I know that this board takes it very, very seriously, the playgrounds. And I know that this board takes it very, very seriously, the needs of our facilities, and we've continued to address that. And I would urge anyone that has a concern about funding to pull the public information and look at it and attend your county commissioner board meetings.
I have a question real quick, just because I'm a little bit confused. When you said that we are planning on addressing all playgrounds across the county, are you referencing the line item on this page where it says playground and Indy Elementary in parentheses, or is that just Indy, or were you addressing all
No,
playgrounds within that
When you look at
cost?
the first page, the first line there says parking lot and playgrounds.
Okay.
So we'll be addressing that. Then we have a line item where it's playgrounds for ADA requirements. So there'll be some playgrounds that we have to address for ADA. And then, of course, the Indy project is a separate playground.
But where my question was, that one was just specifically for Indy, because.
That would be, yes.
Oh, okay, that answers, thank you.
And I want to get back to, just because, I see thank you for staying, okay? I mean, really, I appreciate the audience that's here, and hearing us as we go through the budgeting and everything. I really want to stress that we are going to be, and we are in the process again of submitting a needs-based grant, okay? Free money. So that needs-based grant can be in the total of 62 million, okay? Out of that 62 million, we could be looking at, because we are going to have to replace a school. We have a school that we have to replace, and that is Oakboro. And we are going to be we're meeting with the commissioners out there, and we've met with them. That is one thing that we will be submitting, because, well, we have spent a lot of money already on the repairs of that school. That is one needs-based grant. You're going to be looking at a school that can be built behind, okay, that school. This is a needs-based grant. We have to have an additional wing onto West Stanley Middle School. We have to have that additional wing built, and that also includes upgrades, and hopefully it will include an auxiliary type gym. You do not see many middle schools built today that do not have 2 gyms. I mean, I'm there every day in middle school, and we have 2 gyms. So
North Stanley High School, South Stanley High School,
all of our high schools
all of the high schools.
have great facility needs. You've heard these. I mean, you see the needs that we have. And they're continuing to just build upon, because our buildings are old. But when you hear someone, or you have a conversation with someone about a needs-based grant, remember, it's free money. I don't know how.
Just for a point of clarification, it's not 100% free. We have a 5% match from the county
That
commissioners.
will match it. They have to match it.
And they have to
And of course,
sign
they
off
will
on it.
match 5%. What we have learned is that's the lowest percent that commissioners can match.
Yeah,
I think
required.
you have many school systems that they match
Yes.
much higher than a 5%.
That is true, yes.
Yes. So, but settling for a 5% match. You're the mathematician there, Dr. Lisk, Mr. Lisk. Give an example of the cost of an elementary. What the match would be for commissioners.
The cost has accelerated. If you go back to the 2 major studies that have been completed prior to, in the last 20 years, prior to our last 2 demographic studies, we've ordered a facility study, very tactical on certain buildings, from an architecture firm. The rough math from 2005 is the cost of construction of these school buildings has inflated at roughly 9% per year since 2005. We ordered studies, roughly 1,200 pages on this county. No action was taken. We had $60 million, I think, approximately in revenue. And using those numbers, you have less than a 5% annualized increase in our county's revenue. So what that means is the cost has, over 20 years, by delaying it, has far exceeded our revenue growth. So if you're a fiscal conservative or you're fiscally responsible, there's your tax. Because delaying it now has cost a lot more. And speaking with the architect firms, that cost is accelerating at a really fast pace. So the longer that we continue to delay major renovations in this county, across the county, every part of the county, additions, increased capacity at certain places as demographics, the demographics have shifted in the county. It's only going to cost us more. And again, that's where the Commissioner Board has a really tough decision. The general statutes of, I believe it's the general statutes of the state require a reappraisal. So it's not something that they just arbitrarily ordered. I believe, Mr. Louder, that is required by law. So every 5 years, that's a tax appraisal. I think it's just an internal computer system somehow that comes up with this number, but then the Commissioner Board has to adjust the rate. So that determines how much revenue is projected for the county. And they're looking at what their expenses are across the departments, and they have to make tough decisions. And I don't, envy that position at all. But the reality is the cost of construction, like I think it's been estimated $40 to $50 million for an elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
At one time, a couple of years ago, I think it was 100 to 130. We see high schools being built at 80. It just depends. We're really rocky here. It's not so flat. So how many athletic facilities are you going to have? But it's pretty extensive. Even if you get into renovations of the existing building, I think South Stanley is a great one, and North Stanley. If you've ever, it has extensive facility needs. Regardless of what one wants to do, whether it's expand, consolidate, use the existing buildings we have, it's going to take lots of dollars. And accessing lottery proceeds through grant money is just a start. But kind of to Mrs. Poplin's point, I mean, that just scratches the surface. We have to have a greater plan as a county and how we're going to tackle all of these things. Because $4 million at a time on a recurring capital outlay budget with a little slight increase is literally putting Band-Aids on gashing wounds.
Yeah. And, just to set the record straight, the $750 you're talking about on the roof at West Stanley High School is not the complete roof. That's just portion of the roof.
Of it, yes.
If you imagine the square footage of that roof of the whole campus and you had to replace that whole square footage, you're talking about a whole heck of a lot more money than just $750,000.
Yeah, and I think the board realizes that, we have had a lot of communications with our commissioners, independently, in groups, and in public format. But we realize that they just can't fund everything all at one time. But these are the needs. Whether we as taxpayers like it or not, this is where it's at. And we have to have a plan in conjunction with that board where we can address this over the longer term and start now.
Mr. Dunning, before we move on to the next page, I just wanted to take a moment. First of all, I want to, like Ms. Gibson said, thank you guys for staying to listen to this portion of the meeting. I know this gets long and lengthy sometimes. But I wanted to speak to that playground line item there. I think I may have been much of the fuel to start this. There are some grants and some additional funding that I have sent to Mr. Benton. I know he's probably still looking into a lot of that information that I spammed to his email the other day. But when we have to pull out equipment and we know that we have a large population of EC students, especially severe and profound students at a specific school, it was a request of mine specifically that we start somewhere and start taking small bites out of our ADA issues with playgrounds. And so I think that's probably why that one was sort of stuck in there at that point in time, because right now they have nothing out there because what they had has been pulled out. But I have kind of kept my finger on this for a while, and it is something that I guess I'm a little more passionate about. I have a student who has special needs in our county. Fortunately, my kid can access playgrounds and equipment fairly easily, but a lot of children can't, and I'm aware of that. But we have installed some equipment at other playgrounds, small pieces throughout the county. It's just we're going to have to take small bites out of it at a time because there's just not enough money to do it all at once. So again, I appreciate you guys staying and listening, and just wanted to kind of add that in there before we move on. Thank you.
And just and I feel like I need to, as your finance officer, need to address this. We're setting, and when the auditor, as Mr. List mentioned earlier, back in December, the auditor gave you an audit report with no findings. And I commend myself and my department and the whole school system for that, because it takes us all as a whole. We're not just one person that can solve the problems of the world. But our capital outlay budget's at 3.4, fund balance is $3.4 million. Okay, that's where you have to spend for your major projects. Major projects is anything construction-wise, anything equipment that's major purchases and stuff of that sort. And as I said earlier, we've already dipped in that fund balance. I can already tell you we've dipped in that fund balance for things that have come about this school year that was not originally budgeted at the beginning of this year. So, if anybody wants to sit there and say, oh, well, you're sitting on $3.4 million, no, we're not. We have dipped in our fund balance for capital outlay. I could give you a rough estimate tonight, but I would like to just keep that to myself and for right now until it gets a little closer to the last of May, when I know that we should be winding down for what we can do for this current year. I just want the record to be set that we're not sitting on it just to be sitting on it. We are utilizing what we've got. And while y'all were in closed session, me and Mr. Benton was talking about that and what we've had to do to get things done that has not been, a pretty picture, we need to make something look good. It's been necessities. Okay?
I think we all know that, and I'm not sure the public knows, that the auditors, and I remember specifically us meeting at Central Elementary, a couple years ago, and the auditor saying, us asking, what do we need to do? And he said, increase your fund balance. You need to increase your fund balance. So the next year, we have increased our fund balance. Thank you. And thank you to your department and Dr. Dennis. And so there's a reason why we want to increase that fund balance. And when you have an auditor that tells you, you must do that, because some systems run into a lot of problems when they don't. You've got to increase that fund balance. Then that's important to us. We are wanting to do that. We're wanting you to do that. Make us aware of all that. And Dr. Dennis, so to your department.
We were able to use ESSER funds to help with a lot of your air control issues in some of our schools with HVAC units and stuff of that sort. So we didn't go out and just splurge like some school systems did and hire just multitudes and multitudes and multitudes during the COVID epidemic with the ESSER funds we got. We did hire some people. We did have new positions that we did create, but we were able to utilize that a lot with some of our needs with air quality in some of our schools. So I think we need to commend ourselves as a board that we utilized what we felt like we could utilize to help offset, to build some fund balance in our capital outlay for needs that's going to come above and beyond after COVID.
Well, it's just important to know that is, per se, the rainy day fund. That is the only one we have if something goes wrong. And as Mr. Liz said earlier, we can't tax. So without any fund balance, the only way we would have to fix an air condition or a roof or God forbid, some tornado came through here and tore up a building, would be to go back to the commissioners and
Exactly.
ask for money yet again. So we do need to keep some money in that fund. What that balance looks like, can vary, but that is really the only emergency type funds that we have available.
And, and just to elaborate a little more, and I'll shut up because I don't normally talk this much. But, I've already got an email from the state insurance commission that because of the issues that's happened out in the western part of the state, that they are looking that there's going to be an increase in our insurance for our buildings next year. Haven't got a percentage that I can even look at. I can estimate that there's probably there's going to be a sizable, some sizable increase because a lot of those buildings was not insured for flooding, because you wouldn't think the mountains would flood like it did. So if something like that come through Stanley County, we do not have flood insurance on our buildings. So if something like that come through, we would be in detriment of this county for our facilities.
And I think it's safe to say that we do not have one facility in Stanley County that doesn't need some repairs.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those are major things, and a lot of things are safety. So I do see on the capital outlay where we are doing the last two, I believe, security vestibules that we have that need to be completed. So I'm pleased to see that that's on there. I hope that is something we can definitely finish for next year.
And one of them may be totally reconstruction of the way the front office is at that
Central's
location.
going to be difficult.
Very, very difficult. And that's that we've discussed that in the past.
And also the furniture and equipment. I know we talk about our facilities and our facilities need major work, but I do like to see that we're at least putting something in the budget to try to do some things inside our facilities where we're replacing furniture. I know we've been talking about that for the last couple of years. I have saying we needed a rotation of that. We can't just sit here and say, because I can't afford to do all of our schools, we don't do any of our schools. We have furniture sitting in schools. I know the middle schools that they were there when the school was built 22, 23 years ago. And I'm sure there's schools older than that probably still have furniture sitting in them that's a lot older. So
No, we have furniture when I was in school at West Stanley High School that's still there. Probably still has my name written under it. So, but when you mentioned Mr. Benton, we are going to get into that rotating of furniture, a rotation in our schools. Do you have any idea at this time what some of our greatest needs as far as furniture in some of our schools? Are we looking more in high school? Are we?
Yes, we need to start at the high school level and work our way down.
That's kind.
Furniture is not conducive to the environment today.
Right.
In the age group of those kids.
Yes. And I think, again, I see our teachers sitting back there. If they've been in the high schools, they know what the student desks look like and what the furniture looks like, and,
anything else about capital outlay?
The only thing is we added a separate technology budget request.
On page 5 and 6, you'll see the where we broke out some line items. Page 5 is your technology.
Your technology has to come out of your capital outlay, or at least when you do the large device upgrades and, refresh and all that. So it needs to come out, but in places I've worked in the past, it wasn't put in Keith's budget. It wasn't put in normal capital outlays. It's on a separate capital budget, because you don't want Sean having to work through Keith's budget. And that becomes very, some blurred there, when you're trying to dip into one pot of money for two different things. So we want the technology budget separately funded.
So a couple of questions on the technology budget. The grade K2 student devices, the 1,000 devices, is that to make K2 one-to-one?
That is.
Yes.
So that would take us from sharing on carts to one-to-one?
Yes.
Okay.
And just so our teachers know that is something that we have pushed for this past year, and that we wanted to make sure that this was in the budget for those K2 student devices to be placed back in. Now, whether we get it, that's a different story. But
Right.
just so that our teachers, if there's teachers out here listening, our K2 teachers, and they know we have put it in the budget
Yep.
That's, okay, we're requesting it.
Yeah, I'm of a differing opinion on that. I don't know that we need one-to-one advice for every K-2 student, but that's my personal board member opinion. I like to see our students off of those a little more in the lower grades. And then the second question I have are the 10 classroom panels and the $20,000. And you may or may not be able to answer this because I know you're not Mr. Britt, and I don't think he's here tonight. I know a lot of schools are transitioning to TV screens versus traditional classroom panels because they're tremendously cheaper. Is that something we factored in? Are these the traditional smart board, interactive boards? Is that what the pricing is for this?
They're the ones you've seen in the classrooms,
Yeah,
the one that are
currently.
interactive and you can touch.
Right.
Yes, that's the ones he requested.
Do we know what grade levels those are for? Because I know if it's upper grades that they don't have to touch the screen, that TV panels are much, much cheaper. So if these are not going to like elementary schools, I would like to see if maybe we could see what the cost difference is in that, because
Okay.
I know a lot of people are switching and going to, because upper grade students don't necessarily need the interactive panel as much as lower grades.
I'll find that out.
I figured you probably didn't know. I needed to ask anyway. Thank you.
But you'll see that we're requesting $1.5 million for technology. And like I said, that we probably have a lot more needs than that, I would think. Technology is not something that's stopping. It's constantly moving. But that's what we're requesting there.
And will you address the, our administrative devices?
Yes. Yeah.
Will
I'm
you-
still using the same computer I used when I came here 5 years ago.
They're like 7 years old or older, and
Okay.
they're starting to fail. I had one, but I couldn't charge anymore.
Okay.
I was on my second. They're old and they've been used up.
Any other questions concerning the budget? Okay.
Got one more page.
Yes, I've got one thing. Our staff laptops. Are we refurnishing them for?
Yeah, he's gonna get a rotation of.
Mhm,
A rotation of
That's
our
the
staff?
first line item, so he's gonna have a rotation of working those out.
How long do our staff have to keep their laptops before they're?
I just received my first one, and I've been here today 5 years.
Staff laptops are Chromebooks, and I don't know the cycle for them.
Typically, a Chromebook lasts about 5 to 7 years, I think. And that's just being married to an IT guy. Sean's not here, but that's usually about the lifespan.
If you're a good adult, you can probably get 5 years out of it. My computer that we've just replaced, my laptop, is still good, still usable. And like I said, I've had it 5 years now.
And depending on the student and how
Depending
young
on-
they are.
Depending on how cautious a person is with the technology in their arms and their hands, how long something's going to last.
Our devices that our teachers have.
Say again?
Our devices that our teachers have and that they use.
The Chromebooks.
They're Chromebooks.
Chromebooks.
So
Yeah.
are they going to be receiving some new ones out of this? It'll be rotating?
There'll be a
Or some-
rotation.
Some will be.
Is what I understand, there will be a rotation on our Chromebooks for our staff.
I think it said 75 devices on there.
I saw that, and I just wondered if it was, our staff, our teachers.
Yes, it would be our teachers.
One last page, special budget
Uh,
request.
The one last page, that's the actual Indy Elementary parking lot. And the price of that would be $1.2 million to get the parking lot in order to meet DOT standards.
That's a
And
new
reroute.
That's a driveway going in
Driveway.
there.
Mhm,
Right.
yes.
And that was on the request last year.
That was on the request last year, yes, it was.
And this is the drive that, I know Mr. Benton's back there, this is where we've spoken about that you are going to be ready day one when school is over. Are they going to be able to start with some of this before school even ends?
That's our goal, is to start as soon as school gets out. We'll hit the ground running. We're hoping to get some mobilization if we can get the commitment of the $1.2 million funding. This funding doesn't come available to us till July, so we'll have to front some of that. Mr. Cuddy, spoke about that. We'll have to front some of that out of this year.
Okay.
To get us through that.
Yeah, we'll have to go in fund balance.
Okay.
We're hoping to start as soon as school goes out. It's in DPI's hands for approval now.
Thank you.
Just a recommendation from The Department of Transportation.
DOT,
Mhm.
this come from our county, sheriff's department, local sheriff's department. We've had some conversations about backing cars up on Betty Road, then they turn into any road, and then we're sitting 25, 30 cars deep on 24, 27 currently.
Yep.
So this is to attempt to get all that traffic off, and we feel confident we'll be able to do it.
Okay.
Okay. If there are no other questions about the budget, I'll entertain a motion to approve the 2025-26 budget request as presented by Mr. Dutney.
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second? Any other discussion?
I just want to make sure that before we approve that, I can get some clarification on that technology part of that.
Okay.
Because that money could go towards other devices if those are for upper level classrooms.
It's not specific on there. So I have a motion and a second.
And it may be a moot point if it doesn't get approved anyway.
That's all I need to know. Thank you. They're replacements. They're not new ones. And he said, there's one elementary school right now that's
All right.
Okay, thank you.
And a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. Budget is approved.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dutney. We appreciate all that you and your department are doing for us. Next, we have personnel. Ms. Lydia Hedrick.
Good evening, board members. Tonight, I do present to you the April 1st personnel agenda. Section 1 requires no action. It is simply for your information. However, Section 2, that did incur 2 revisions this evening during closed session, does require your approval. So with respect this evening, I request approval of the April 1st personnel report.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Hedrick. Next, we have board member comments. Anyone have anything additional they would like to say tonight?
I can go if nobody else is going to go. I just want to take a moment to say that April is Child Abuse Prevention Month, and it's also Worldwide Autism Acceptance Month, and April 2nd is the day that everybody wears blue for autism. I also would like to take a moment to thank all of our public speakers tonight. I appreciate you guys. Parents are passionate about their children, and I always appreciate to hear from parents, even if sometimes they're a little upset. That's okay, because that means that you really care. I got to have the opportunity to do really neat things this month. With my new position, I don't get to go out with y'all as much as I used to. But I got to read If You Give a Pig a Party at Locust, and we had a good time out there that day. But I also got to witness something that I've heard about for a few years, and we've seen the kids working on them. But I got to take a little moment of my lunch the other day and go by the Y pool and see let me see if I can get this right, Piedmont Regional Sea Perch Robotics Competition. And I had no idea what that actually entailed and looked like until I saw all of that in action. And first of all, the pool gallery was full of children everywhere, from elementary to, we had even some early college students in there with their teams. So I think they had like 20-something teams competing to go to a regional competition. But we had some staff in the pool in scuba gear setting up these obstacle courses, and to watch those students take those robotic devices, and have to like close the lid and then go under and pick up something and turn around and put it in a basket. First of all, I'm not really good at video games, so that was never my thing. My daughter laughs when I tell her I played on an Atari that had a joystick. She's like, "A what?" But to see them be able to maneuver those robots, I hope I'm saying this right. I don't know. Oprah may come out and come after me, but and the kids, because there's one like talking to them and telling them, no, go a little bit further this way, and that. I mean, it was just a very neat and interesting experience, and so I'm so glad that I got to do that, and that was just a joy of the week. And then just a little bit, if you are a staff member and you haven't seen the revisions to Policy 7340, that's something that we did discuss at the last policy committee meeting, and hopefully you will take a second to kind of look at that revision. Hopefully that will give you guys a little bit of a morale boost to be able to have a little more freedom in that dress code policy. So other than that, that's about it. Thank you.
I had the opportunity last year to go to the Sea Perch competition. I, like you, did not know what to expect. I'd never been to one, and it is amazing to watch. So next year when they do that, I encourage the board to take the opportunity to go and watch that. So anyone else have any comments tonight? Mr. Lisk?
I too want to thank Mrs. Chavis, Mrs. Lear, and the speakers. I've known the Chavis family for a long time and have a lot of respect for you. And I appreciate you coming up here fighting for what you think is right. It may not mean anything to you, but I do take it very seriously, and we do have a lot of needs in the county. And I believe that this board and my service on this board is working as hard as possible to advocate for all of those things. And it's continued in our budget request, and I believe in some of the actions that we take. So thank you for coming to speak. Whether we agree or disagree on viewpoints or opinions doesn't matter. It's commendable that you come up here and you speak and say what you think. And Mr. Harrington, I think somewhere down the line we're related. But BB's your mother, I believe. But second cousin, but Stanley County, that's how it always is.
So we're getting that playground, right?
I'll work on that. Thank you for Mrs. Hyatt. She has a little bitty closet, which was called an office at Locust. Every time I visited, she was running around like crazy, handling all of these students and doing very well. And thank you for your service.
I have a great team, so.
I have a great team, and you guys do a great job, and I appreciate it. And curriculum is very important to me, and even more important is offering higher level opportunities as we move forward, in addition to the trade opportunity. So thank you, and I'll end on this. Tori Edwards could not attend tonight. She is my neighbor, has been for 6 years, and she won the regional science fair. I'll just share it, on here it just says second place. I don't think that does it any justice to provide any context, but she's a smart little cookie. Very proud of her. Her mother told me that there were 5 grand prizes, so the top 5, and then 15 exemplary, which were ranked 6 through 20, and then 15 honorable mentions, which were ranked 21 through 35, and then there were 90 elementary projects total, and that she received an exemplary reward. So I think that's very honorable for her, and her mother did mention they don't move to internationals at this age. Obviously, they're very aspirational, and it's very good to see this type of talent in our school system for folks like yourself. Thank you.
I would actually like to say something. Agree with everybody up here. Great job to who came up tonight, was awarded to the teachers. But there's always room for improvement in the county. There's always room to grow. And sat up here tonight just kind of watching things play out, and I feel like honestly, a lot of it could have been avoided. You know, we still stayed within the 15-minute range, and it bothers me, and it's been bothering me. So I just wanted to vocally say that, that there's a lot of things that could have been avoided tonight, in just allowing the public to speak. And, you know, us choosing to not move public comments to the beginning, I think sometimes adds fuel to the fire. So I think that's also something else that we need to work on in future meetings, is to let our taxpayers, the parents, speak when they have issues, since their students are in our school system. And thank you guys for coming out.
Madam Chair. I certainly want to congratulate everyone that we recognize tonight, from Stanley Stars, Fine Arts Educator, everyone. Ms. Tambasco, am I saying it correctly?
Correct.
Thank you for your presentation about child nutrition. I think that we are very fortunate here that we are able, our children, all of our children, to have free breakfast and free lunch. And I hope that we continue, that we're able to continue this. And I love when you said that some things that you're going to get in place for next year, and even some different offerings. I know that I have grandchildren, and they have days when, you know, whatever those cheesy sticks are, okay, they could eat those every day. But I appreciate what you're doing, and I'm so glad, again, that our students in this county, all of them can eat free. And for, again, our teachers, AIG teachers, because you know that's a passion of mine. But I thank you for all that you do, and all of our staff. And hopefully, again, you know that we are working hard for all of our teachers and our classified employees as well. Thank you for those of you that spoke, Ms. Chavis and others, and Mr. Harrington. I really appreciated, I think the one thing to me that we carry away from this is that we listen to each other and that we work together. And I feel like that is something, as you've sat and you've seen our budget and our line items, and I think even Ms. Poplin said it's little bits that we've got to address, but, you know, we're going to address them. And, you know, and I appreciate, I think I heard you say just, you know, working together. And I think you said you are here representing the daddies, the fathers. And sometimes we see the moms and everything, but we might not see the dads, and they're just as important. So thank you. Thank you for that. One final thing, and board members, I think maybe you've seen this. I had a great time always dressing up as Pete the Cat. And of course, I read at Norwood. But I was able to twist the finger of our superintendent to also dress as Pete the Cat. And I had a larger outfit. I had a small one, had a large one. So we read yesterday at Indy. We did this little thing where I was going to start out reading, and I didn't know he was going to be there. And then he comes in the door, and I'm like, and he's like, "Hey, I'm Pete the Cat. I'm here to read." And I'm like, "No, I'm Pete the Cat. I'm here reading." You know, and the kids are like, "Who's Pete the Cat? I mean, which one's Pete the Cat?" So we just had a good time. We had a good time with that.
Is that necessary?
we had a really good time with that. And but Dr. Dennis, thank you for being a good sport, and
I had a good time.
And going along with that. So I'll have to see what we come up with next time. Thank you, Dr. Dennis.
So yes, Ms. Poplin got most of my months. I do have occupational therapy month. It's the only one that you didn't get. You did a great job. And the week of April 7th through the 11th is Assistant Principal Week. And as far as days, we have April 4th, which is National School Librarian Day, and April 23rd, a very important day, which is Administrative Professional Day. We have Good Friday holiday will be observed, and April the 18th, we have spring break coming up, which will be the 21st through the 25th. I thank everyone for coming tonight, especially those who spoke. I know a couple of us had a conversation earlier today in my office, and I look forward to our follow-up site visit early next week. Thank you.
We do appreciate you coming and speaking tonight. Mr. Schaefer, we appreciate you coming, Ms. Lear, and Marla, because I hear you talking from a grandparent standpoint, so that I can just relate to. We know you're passionate, and we expect you to be passionate. We want you to be. We tried to abide by our policy tonight, which said that we could give people 3 minutes, and we only had 15 minutes set aside for that. But I encourage you next month, come back and speak to us again. We heard you. We know there's some great needs out there, and we have some of those things in our budget, so hopefully we will receive some funding and be able to make a difference on some of those playgrounds for next year. Our next board meeting will be Tuesday, May 6th, here in the Gene McIntyre Room at 6:15. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Adjourn.
Second. All in favor? All opposed? We are adjourned.